Bing, boing, bing. Everybody has a story to tell with Toddy One Skip. Good morning, guys. This is Everybody Has a Story to Tell with Toddy One Skip. I am Toddy One Skip. Welcome to the channel. It is Saturday, November 15th, guys, right in the middle of the month. And I thank you for always allowing time for me when you allow time for me, even if it's at 1.5 speed. Guys, tonight at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I am so excited. I'm doing a live stream with, guess who? Aggressive Defiance. Yep. And Lady K. Yes, we're going to have a threesome here. Anyway, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Come on in. You're all invited. Just behave thyself. Just behave thyself. So we're psyched. We're going to talk about the Whittakers and see where that leads us into what we think, what you guys think, and just, basically an open conversation. But sharing what we think about the characters involved and the Whittakers themselves and what happened, what went wrong, what could have been, what should have been, and is there anything that can be? In the meantime, I wanted to read to you. I know that I think Aggressive Defiance read the Daily Mail article. I read the New York Post article, but somebody sent me the Daily Mail article, and I thought that it was a little bit more than the New York Post, to be honest with you. So I got it. I've skimmed it. Not really have I read it. There were things that I know I didn't read in the first one that I skimmed through. But anyway, let me tell you what's going on. And guys, I put out that video last night about Brian, and you guys are funny. Yes, that's it. Or he could put out the content that he was putting out on the streets and making his content about things in West Virginia. He just doesn't want to put any time into it. He wants it now. Play the lottery, my friend. Play the lottery. That's all I can tell you to do. And good luck, right? I mean, I play too on occasions, but otherwise you got to work hard. Regardless, you got to work hard. You got to pay for something any which way in life, as the Whittakers clearly are finding out, unfortunately, right? And that doesn't mean that I blame the Whittakers. I just mean for every action, there's a reaction. And when the Whittakers allowed people into their lives, whether they did willingly, knowingly, or whatever, this is the reaction that came from it, whether it be willingly, knowingly, or anything. It's just science, more or less, as far as I'm talking about that. But let's read it. You guys, I'm going to put it up here. Daily Mail galleries report America's most inbred family torn apart. And this was November 7th. It was updated about the same time, I guess. Let's continue on. And we see Betty. America's most inbred family has been split up after 3 of them were removed from their rundown home and taken into state care. The Daily Mail can reveal the Whittakers were catapulted to internet fame in 2020 when a documentary chronicled their daily struggles and heartbreaking physical and mental conditions while living in the tiny hamlet of Odd, West Virginia, 75 miles south of Charleston. The family began with identical twin brothers whose children married each other and later had 15 kids, with those surviving making up the modern day Whittaker clan. So those part of the 15 is Betty, Larry, Ray, and Lorraine, and Kenny. Okay, so those are the 5 siblings. It's such, oh god, it's such a mess. I think that we could see it better later, but I think that, yeah, so the grandparents, okay, the grandparents of Betty and them were identical twin brothers. And then their children married each other, which would be the parents of Betty and Lorraine and them. So their parents married. Their parents were also aunts and uncles, I guess, if you looked at it that way, because they were siblings to each other. Yeah, and somebody had brought up that Betty didn't know that. I think Betty knew that. I mean, I think that when they talked about, growing up and stuff and talking about family stories, I mean, they sat around without anything, so they must have told stories, right? So the stories had to include their growing up and probably said, so your mama, when she came about, you know what I'm saying? I don't mean to make light of it, but that's how it would be, you know? And, maybe they didn't know any better, but I think that they knew that they were related because they would have heard stories like that. And, some of the kids went to school, as you know, Kenny went to school, and some of the kids that don't even live there anymore that don't even want to be more or less connected to the family, you know. So they knew better and they knew better. But she doesn't want to talk about it, and that's her right. She can be embarrassed by it. There's nothing she could do about it. She didn't cause it. Who knows? Maybe it's something that they were told you can never tell anybody. I don't know that the parents would have been so forthright to say, well, the reason why there's a genetic problem, if they would have used that terminology. Well, this is why Ray barks, more or less, is because your mother and I are sister and brother. You know what I mean? All right. So, uh, all right. So let's continue on. So among them are Betty, Larry, Danny, Ray, uh, Lorraine. Again, I've seen her name spelled so many different ways, and her son Timmy, who all until recently lived together on the dilapidated homestead made up of one 4-room dwelling with new metal extension, up to 3 trailers and an outhouse. So the other place called it a compound. They were a little nicer than New York Post called it a compound. I remember reading that. So yeah, this is so it reads a little bit different. It's got a different tone. This is, I think, a little bit more honest. But during a visit to check in on the Whittakers this week, Betty 73 told the Daily Mail that Ray 72, Lorraine 79, and Timmy 46, and those ages change a lot too, were removed from the home by officials from West Virginia's Adult Protective Services and placed in alternative housing in September. They were nowhere to be seen at the small family dwelling where Betty and Larry, 69, and the family's several dogs remain. The trio, who have serious mental and physical problems, appeared unable to fully speak and could communicate only through odd words, grunts, or noises when the Daily Mail paid a previous visit. They remain under the state's guardianship, but detail of their cases are confidential. Speaking from their broken down cabin, Betty and Larry said that they have not seen or spoken to their siblings and nephews since they were taken away. An emotional Betty told how she helped her mother, Gracie, raise her younger siblings and that she missed them and Timmy since the welfare people came and got them 4 or 5 weeks ago. They said they were helping them and they couldn't live here no more. I miss them a lot. I raised them, she said. Larry claimed that they had been kept in the dark over how Ray, Lorraine, and Timmy were doing and where they are now living. I've been staying at home waiting on a phone call, but that's all I know. They haven't called or let me know nothing. They won't tell us where they at, he said. Larry said some content creators posting viral videos of the family's life on social media were to blame for getting the kids taken away. He claimed Adult Protective Services had warned them not to give any further interviews, adding, there's too much expletive. There's too much fucking bullshit out there. They watching. People out there making money off them. He's talking about the videos, and they don't like it. They told us, don't talk to nobody. It's a lot going on, people calling around. We just got tired of it. That's why I don't go out. I don't talk to nobody, he added. Inside the Whittakers' home, insects were seen crawling over a kitchen surface as Betty and Larry cooked sausages and beans on a gas-powered stove. There was little in the way of decoration or niceties except for a calendar still set to March, and a loud movie or TV was blaring from a small satellite TV mounted on the wall. Outside the ramshackle property nestled on a small creek was surrounded by random household items, a broken down chicken coop, and piles of trash, including old tires and beer cans. Towels were drying on a makeshift line near a baseball hoop, basket, it should say basketball hoop, picnic table, and a small barbecue. On the porch, where the family of five would often sit together, there were Halloween skeleton decorations as well as a collection of delicate ornaments, including Christmas angels perched on the blue painted railings. Betty suggested she did not know why Ray, Lorraine, and Timmy were taken away by state officials, but the removal came shortly after a protective court order was dropped against Larry's daughter, Betty Jo, BJ, who had been staying at the Whittaker home. In August 27, video on the Whittaker family YouTube page, Betty Sr. accused her niece of always being on drugs, hitting her, Larry, and their nephew, Timmy, hassling her for money and locking their landline phone in the camper van. I'm pretty sure that's what Eric said. I heard him coerce her into saying that. That's what I thought I heard. I didn't hear her be so eloquent with words and such. A day later, Betty filed an application for protective order against BJ, but it was closed on September 4th after Betty failed to attend a hearing for it. Weeks earlier, BJ was charged with one felony count of fraudulent schemes linked to the selling of stolen copper wire to a local recycling firm. According to court documents obtained by the Daily Mail, court papers filed at Raleigh County Magistrate Court reveal BJ made almost $3,000 between July and August selling over 1,000 pounds of the stolen copper. A judgment of preliminary hearing was later waived by a judge. In May, BJ was caught on camera stealing gas worth $40 from an address in Rondell, West Virginia, alongside her dad, Larry, according to a criminal complaint. Dad and daughter were charged with petty larceny and conspiracy against the state. The conspiracy charges were dropped according to an agreement under a plea agreement, with both pleading guilty to the larceny. BJ paid $226 while Larry was hit for $281. BJ hit the headlines last March when she admitted to lying that Larry was dead to turn a quick buck. In a clip posted by Mark Later from the filmmaker, that Soft White Underbelly guys, you know that. Shone a light on the Whittaker family. Larry appears alive, apparently unaware of rumors that he was dead. BJ also appears on camera and admitted to the scam in which she pocketed $1,000 for her dad's funeral before admitting she needed help from my drug addiction. She was spotted driving her Chrysler Town and Country van that was donated to the family, along with supplies of the propane gas. When she spotted reporters, she dashed inside the Whittaker's home and Dad, Larry. They did not open the door when approached again by the Daily Mail. Why are they following her? See, I didn't read all this in the other one. Asked about Ray, Lorraine, and Timmy Whittaker being taken into state care. A spokesman for the West Virginia Department of Human Services said it is aware of the situation, but declined to share further information due to the ongoing nature of the matter. The modern-day Whittakers stem from two sets of first cousins who got married. The bloodline continued with two identical twin brothers, John and Henry Whittaker, born in 1897, whose children got married. Those children are the offspring. The offspring of those children is the Whittaker family in which we know. So there was inbred and then even more inbreeding. John married his first cousin, Ada Riggs, and they had 9 children, including Gracie. Gracie is their mother. Irene Whittaker was born in 1920. John's brother, Henry, married Sally, and they had several children, including John. John married Gracie, and that's how these guys came into being. Wow. John married his first cousin, Ada Riggs, and they had 9 children, including Gracie. Irene Whittaker, that's the mother, who was born in 1920. John's brother, Henry, married Sally. And they had 7 children, including John Emery. John Emery married Gracie. They didn't have to worry about changing names on suitcases for sure. And from them came the 15 kids that we're talking about today. That's something. Isn't that something? First cousins Gracie and John married in November 1935 and had 15 children. Eileen was the firstborn in 1937. She married and had a son, Frankie, followed by another son, Emery Lee, a year later. But he tragically died of pneumonia. Barbara Whittaker was born September 1940 and did not marry before she died in October 2008. Nanny Lou was born in 1942. She married her husband, William, who died in 2007. She remarried a man called Leonard, who died around December 2022. She died in May 2023. So that was a sister that died. Connie, born in 1943, still lives in the area, and her husband, James. So Connie's still in the area. We've heard of that. Freddie was born in 1944 and he died May 2013. That's the one that looked a lot like Ray, that Ray was closest to, his brother Freddie. So yeah, this is going into a lot more detail than any of the thing that I read in the other article. So Connie's still around. Freddie died in 2013 after a long illness. Lorraine, and there's still conspiracy over where this guy was buried. I read an article, I think it was from the Daily Mail, that he was buried on the property until they were able to move him to the Gordon Cemetery where the rest of the family is. So, and then Lorraine was born in 1946. She is the older of the ones that are there. So I guess Connie is the oldest, it seems, but Lorraine is the oldest of the ones that were living in the house and on the porch. Lorraine was born in 1947 and had one son, Timmy, who was born in 1979. It is not known who Timmy's dad is. Mary Madeline Whittaker was born in 1948 and died the following year. John Wade Whittaker was born in, so he would have been named after the dad, right? Because their dad was John. John Wade Whittaker was born in 1950 and died in 2022. So I don't even know who John was. He only lived to be 72 years old, right? I don't remember seeing pictures of him or anything. Father of 5 children who had several grandchildren, one great-grandchild, grandson. Whittaker, a matriarch, Betty Ann, was born in 1952 and reportedly promised her mom she would not marry so she could take care of her 14 siblings. Danny Ray Whittaker, known as Ray, was born a year after Betty. Ray, as everybody knows, is the one that they refer to as Barks. Larry Whittaker and Kenneth Whittaker were born in 1956 and 1957, probably respectively here. So I would say Larry's a year older than Ken. Judy was born in 1958 and Michael Stevie arrived a year later. Michael died in 2001, age 40. Judy died in August 2021. It's not clear. So they've lost some siblings since we've known them. So it's unclear how Michael and Judy passed. So guys, that's how the Whittakers came into existence, and clearly that's how the Whittakers recall their demise, is that there were a bunch of content creators that basically were greedy, made a lot of money off the family and split up the family, and it's all their fault. Now, I don't think Mark did anything wrong, to be honest with you. If this would have worked out well and BJ would have been honest and not had taken money, or Betty would have been stronger and not given money, they would have had a house, right? So we wouldn't be talking about this. Eric probably wouldn't have come into play, right? But that didn't happen. but you can't blame Mark and you can't blame Betty for it. And I mean, if you want to go ahead and blame a drug addict for acting like a drug addict, then you can go ahead and do that. Eric came in there with an idea to make money. His sole purpose, in my opinion, was that. Patrick, in my opinion, was already making videos. He was already making videos and he wasn't making money. He had a GoFundMe that Eric exploited and had him get rid of so that Eric can write things down in a notebook. I think if Patrick gives the Whittakers their money, he's clean. He can walk away, go ahead with the next stage of his life. Eric, pay the Whittakers, give them the money back that you owe them. Go on with the next stage of your life. Whittakers, take your money, get a lawyer, and fight for your family. Personally, because it's Thanksgiving, I'm going to try and work with other people behind the scenes on trying to get the Whittakers to at least have Thanksgiving together and how I can help with that. So I'll let you know if there's something that we need, like a petition or something. I'll let you know. I'll be upfront and transparent. Guys, that's what's going on. Don't forget tonight, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. 3 content creators in one place talking about the Whittakers. Guys, this is their story. Don't let it be yours. Take care of yourselves. I appreciate you. Be well. Bing, boing, bing. Everybody has a story to tell with Toddy One Skip.